Hey everyone, Jeff Risen with the Daily DLP here. It is Thursday, February 19th. We made it to Thursday, almost the weekend. Today was a fun day. Today was the day where NFL analyst and draftnik and former professional scout Daniel Jeremiah held his annual pre-combine conference call. And it was, I was lucky enough to be on it. I was one of about 150 members of the media who were on it. It was 2 hours long. DJ is fantastic. We love when he breaks these things down. I will say just ahead of time, it's his opinions. He tends to be a lot more plugged in than a lot of us who do mock drafts, especially at this point in the process. So his information is always good to have. It's good to hear. Remember, it is just one guy's thoughts. It is still before the combine, but it's always interesting to hear what DJ talks about. There were 3 Lions-centric questions that were asked. Dave Burkett asked one, Tim Twentyman asked one, and Nolan Bianchi asked one. I unfortunately did not get. I had my hand up in the event, but so did everybody else of over 150 of us. He only answered as many as he could. They had a hard stop at 2 hours. DJ would have talked all day, I'm sure, if he didn't have something else to do. But it was great talking and listening in. A lot of we'll focus on the Lions stuff here because this is the Detroit Lions podcast. Well, some very interesting draft stuff that I will write up at other places as well, and we'll talk about it. But first came up, and I believe it was Burkett's question, and I haven't gotten the transcripts yet, so I'm doing this off of like shorthand memory and notes that are here. I did record it. We do actually get a recording and a transcript of it at some later date. But so my quotes here will be approximate. They are not direct quotes. Don't cite them as such, but they're going to be close, and you're going to get the general idea. And he asked about the offensive tackles and the potential for the offensive tackle to be coming at number 17 and what the class looked like, his overall thoughts on it. And he brought up 2 names right away. Actually, this was Tim's question, now that I think about it. The 2 names that he brought up right away, Monroe Freeling from Georgia, who we have covered a lot and who is a personal favorite of Russ Brown, and Blake Miller from Clemson, who is somebody that I happen to like quite a bit. I rate him actually higher than Freeling, but not enough that it's not within the margin of error for drafting. And he mentioned those 2 specifically as guys that he thought that the Lions would have some interest in at number 17. Again, it's his thoughts. It's before the combine. Don't hold him or me or anybody to it. It's just information at this point. Hopefully information that can help you flesh out and contextualize the draft as we go forward, because that's what these next couple of weeks are going to be all about leading into free agency. He liked Freeling. He talked about how quick of a learner he was, how he's still improving, how he doesn't have a lot of experience yet, but is growing quickly. He mentioned that, and he mentioned this, and I probably should have worded my social media post better. Talked about how Monroe Freeling's mom is a yoga instructor, and he actually explained pretty nicely why that's important and why he likes that for injury prevention purposes. And he talked about how Freeling was supposed to be missing a game with a high ankle sprain. He said, "Hey, I'm healed enough that I can go," and he actually wound up going on an emergency basis and wound up playing the entire game and played well. So the kind of little tidbits that DJ throws in that you don't always get. Like, I did not know that his mom was a yoga instructor. So for Freeling, that's pretty cool. And I'm certain that it made my colleague here, Russ Brown, quite happy, because Russ freaking loves Monroe Freeling more than I do. But it's not that I would be upset with Monroe Freeling as the pick. The other part that was in that section was DJ talked about, and he dropped this unprompted, about how the Lions are sniffing around the free agent offensive tackle class. He didn't elaborate beyond that, but it's pretty easy to guess why. Again, just my guess off of his thing. Don't take it for more than that. That sounds like Taylor Decker's retiring, or they're planning on not having Taylor Decker long-term, or which is smart, by the way, or they don't think Giovanni Manu is ready, and they want to have a veteran backstop number 3 Dan Skipper replacement ready in case the rookie that they draft, whether it's Freeling or Blake Miller or whoever, Spencer Fano, Francis Maunoa, Caleb Lomu, Caleb Tiernan. My God, there's a lot of tackles in this class. Demetrius Crownover from Texas A&M is a day 3 guy who's the Lions are going to like him. Just my opinion, but I think they're going to like him a lot. They could double up. Who knows? But that would be where the veterans come in. And it is not, we've talked about this a lot, it is not an exciting free agent offensive tackle class. It rarely is. Some of the names, the top names that are out there, Jermaine Illuminor, who has had some decent starting spot times with the Giants and Raiders over his time. Not a bad player. He's not Taylor Decker. He is a step down from the Taylor Decker that we had last year. But he can start if you need him to. Braxton Jones, who had a terrible season, unfortunately, former Bears pick. Jack Conklin comes very, very damaged goods after probably missing as many games as he's played for Cleveland over the past few years. Former Michigan State Spartan. He's from the Chicago area. He absolutely fits the grit, but I don't know what his body's got left. And he is also a right tackle only. And a lot of these guys are generally right tackles only, which would require moving Penei Sewell to the left side if you're going to be starting them in the year. Braden Smith is a former Colt, and he was a good one. Second-round pick from 2019, 2020, and he was a good player for a while. And then he got sick, and I think it was the 2023 season. He also had a knee issue that year, and he's not been the same dude since then. He's still like he's a functional, serviceable starter, but he hasn't been the asset that he was. This guy was an ass-kicking run blocker early on in his NFL career, and that has sort of gone away. Not like gone away forever, but he would have to prove himself that he can get that back. But he's an interesting one. It's good to know these names a little bit. The one with the Drew Petzing connection, and I've talked about him before, is Jonah Williams, former Bengals first-round pick. Didn't work in Cincinnati. He's an Alabama guy. Has the tendency, like all Alabama offensive tackles do, to catch block, which is not something that the Lions favor. He did get away from that in Arizona. He was actually doing really, really well in 2024 for the Cardinals, and he got hurt. He had a shoulder injury, had to have surgery. And he missed half of last season, more than half of last season, with a knee injury. So he's kind of damaged goods. Brad Holmes special. Of all the players that I listed here, he's probably the most likely to become a Lion. That doesn't mean that I necessarily want him more. Braden Smith's the best player, probably. Rasheed Walker is out there. I mean, there's some names, but you're looking at guys that, again, they're not more than a stopgap starter. They are better than Dan Skipper was as a third tackle, probably all of them. But if you're not signing a starting offensive tackle long-term with this group, you're just not. If you get lucky, sure, that'd be great, but don't count on it. So the idea of drafting one and signing one, to me, it still makes a lot of sense. I don't have an issue with that at all. And if it's Freeling, if it's Blake Miller, again, any of the guys who would be taken at 17 or also in the second round, because I do like the day 2 group. And it's something that DJ talked about with a different answer. But he brought up Blake Miller as a guy who might go in the second. He brought up Ahinacher from Arizona State as a guy that he really liked his potential and how quickly he has adapted. This was a guy who came to the United States when he was 13 years old from Nigeria, had never seen American football before. And I agree with DJ, and I did the film breakdown earlier on him. His growth from the beginning of 2024 of 2025 season to the end of it was like, oh yeah, like it's clicking. You see it. You saw the technical improvement. You saw him start to understand how to play football better. probably going to be a second-round pick. He's going to test very well. So there are a lot of offensive tackle options, and both, again, the draft, but Monroe Freeling being the first guy that in the first breath that he answered the question, sort of tells me that he likes him a lot and sees the connection with the Lions. But again, Blake Miller was also in the same breath. I don't want to discount that. He brought up edge. I believe that was Nolan's question. And he brought up the obvious in Keldrick Falk, which we've talked about a lot. Again, the guy is a physical clone of Marcus Davenport, except he's 20 years old and healthy. Lots of character, like outstanding football character, outstanding football IQ. He's just not super twitchy, and he hasn't been super productive in the pass rush. You're hoping that he would learn that. And DJ was actually a little bit more optimistic than what most Lions fans have been, and kind of where I am too. I put out my big board at Real GM today, the pre-combine big board. I used the top 103, and I just have to look because I don't remember where I put him. He is so I have, just to go through this, Keldrick Falk is number 22, Blake Miller is number 25, and Monroe Freeling is number 34 on my list. So again, all those guys are in the same basic range. They are all second-round grades for me. I have 15 first-round grades. I have 36 second-round grades. The grading scale that I use, which is the one that our lads does, it's what I learned on all those years ago. Thank you, Dan Shonka, for teaching me back in the day. John Cooper, former Ohio State coach, helped in that too. Love you, Coop. Great man. Not a great football coach. Really good dude, though, and helped me a lot about 15 to 20 years ago when I first started going to the Senior Bowl and the Combine. Was somebody that I clicked on with quickly, and he has helped me a lot in the scouting world at that point. So I'm not opposed to any of those guys there, especially in the second round. If any of those guys are there in the second round, that's a great value. He brought up R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma as a edge for the second round. And this is an interesting one because he doesn't fit the crush the can style. That's not who he is. He is much more of a speed to power type player. Generally, the crush the can is power to speed. Hutch can do it all. Al-Qadim Muhammad can kind of do it all. He's just inconsistent. Thomas was a guy, I'll be straight, I haven't watched a lot of him. And he ranks for me, I think he's in the 40s. He's number 37. So I do like what I see from him. I do want to watch him more, and he is a guy that I do have questions about with his athletic testing as to how high his ceiling can be versus how low his floor can be. And that's sort of one of the things that the Combine is there for me to study and learn in the next week. So that was an interesting one. And again, this is DJ. It's just one guy's opinion, but it's worth listening to and worth considering. Didn't really talk about defensive backs at all, pretty much throughout the entire call, other than for the Bengals and there was one other team. It bled together. It was a long call, guys. It was very worthwhile. Very blessed to be on it. I think this is the 5th or 6th year that he did it. He started doing them the year of COVID where we couldn't travel. He just did it as a Zoom. But it was worthwhile. Learned a lot from it. Hopefully we do get a chance to talk to DJ again next week at the podium. He always draws a big crowd there. It's kind of cool that the NFL lets him do that. And we're going to eschew the prospect for the day because I did Monroe Freeling already, and I will bring back up my notes on him. And this will maybe explain why I am not as high on him as Russ or DJ or seemingly a lot of other folks. And we'll go to the cons part. Lunges way too often in the run game. That is correctable. Again, he's a younger player, doesn't have a lot of experience. Those are things that a good offensive line coach, and we happen to have one in Hank Fraley in Detroit, that can teach that. So it's not a massive concern. And in fact, almost all of the cons here are fixable by experience, by coaching, by playing more football. And that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't mind at all if the Lions took him at number 17, even though he is not ranked that high for me, because the context of the Lions situation is such that I think they can coax the best out of him. I do. I'm still a believer in the draft and develop style that this regime has embraced. Definitely has length, very light on his feet. The anchor against guys like R. Mason Thomas, as an example, is really good. Guys who try to speed and get into his pads, he absorbs them. They can't really get around him. He's very good at that. I like that. That's important. So consider him a throwback prospect of the day. Just for context, I'm recording this right after the U.S.-Canada women's hockey game, so I'm fired up. Great day. We're going to call this a day. I will be back at you on Friday with another daily. There will not be a daily on Saturday, and then there should be one for the rest of the ongoing time through the combine. I will be in Indianapolis from late Friday night all the way through the following Saturday. I will miss the last day of combine workouts where there are maybe 25 people still there in Indianapolis. Everybody leaves. A lot, just to go into the combine a little bit on that. By Friday morning, Friday afternoon, most of the scouts have left. A lot of the coaches have left, or they're hiding in their luxury boxes because all their interviews are pretty much done by that point. The on-field part at Lucas Oil Field is pretty barren in there other than the fan section. And the media clears out. It's sometimes easier to watch and get the numbers while you're watching the TV in the media conference room, which is a good distance away from Lucas Oil Field, and I've done that before. I'm going to be in there this year just for the fun of it. It is a different atmosphere, and mercifully, they have started turning the heat on. They didn't used to do that. It used to be very cold in there. It's not like that anymore. But, that's where we're at for the daily today. Thanks for tuning in. This is Jeff Riston signing out. Be good to one another.